Hello, everybody. Thanks a lot for having me at this. I've only got 20 minutes, so I'm going to get right down to business, and I'll tell you a little bit about a tool we've been working on called the Gamerize Dictionary. So my name is Adam Kardos. I am a materials designer, a teacher trainer, and a school owner here in Japan. I'm living near Osaka, for a place that you guys might know. All right, so let's get started here. Okay. Oopsie daisies, here we go. All right, so I'm going to start off with a little question. It's a 20-minute presentation, so we won't have time for kind of a long discussion. But what I want, if you could please just put some comments in the chat. So my question is here to start off, what is the most important factor in the success at learning a language? What do you guys think about this? Any comments there? If there are any comments there, Heike, could you possibly give me read those out for me?
Yes, happily so. So fun, motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Good teacher and having fun.
Certainly fun.
Evaluation. Oh dear.
Great. Well, a lot of those do kind of seem to relate back to the first thing that someone said there, and that is motivation. Yeah, it does seem that according to various studies, the thing that successful language learners and learners of anything, for that matter, as a matter of fact, is a high level of motivation. Motivated learners succeed, and sometimes that's because of fun, or it could be because of other factors as well. So in the creation of the Gamerize Dictionary, the idea of motivation is really at the core of this. We wanted to make a digital tool that would not just help students to learn things, but would also kind of get them addicted to it, get them that study habit that they really need. So I'm going to do a couple things. First, I want to take a look at a couple little classic studies on motivation, which I think are quite interesting and tell us a little bit about get us thinking a bit about motivation and how it is kind of a complex thing. So the first one, this is called the candle experiment. And this is an experiment that was done in the 50s, and it kind of revolutionized thinking about motivation at the time. So the candle experiment goes like this. Research subjects were given these three items: a candle, a box of matches, and some thumbtacks. They were put into a room and they were asked to solve this problem. They had to get the candle lit and suspended above the ground. They're not allowed to hold it, and it couldn't be supported by any kind of furniture. They could use only these three items. Now, again, put your ideas in the chat. I don't think we'll have time for you guys to work through the entire problem, but I just want you to think about it for a second. Any ideas there? How would you solve this? And I will continue along, and we will take a look at the chat after and see if you guys came up with any clever ideas. So what this problem was done, it was done as a part of social science research, as research on motivation. Researchers took two groups. One group was asked to solve the problem, and they were told that if they finished the problem faster than the other group, they would get a $20 reward. I don't think it was, in actual fact, I think it was more like $10, but in 1950, that was more like $20 or more today. And the other group was given no incentives at all. They were just asked to solve the problem however they see fit, and with no incentive. So which group do you think solved the problem first, Group B or Group A? Please put that into the chats.
Group A, says Celine.
Yep.
I think we know this one. Group B.
We know this one, yeah?
Oh, no, not everyone knows this one.
Okay, well, it does seem like because I'm kind of got an air of mystery about me that I'm probably going to go for the less obvious answer, but yes, the answer is Group A. Did anyone, by the way, solve? Maybe if you don't already know how this goes, has anyone solved the candle experiment? Do you know how to get this solve this problem? No comments?
I personally don't know it, and Andreas says no.
Okay, well, it usually, most people who do this, and I've done this in live workshops before, people will eventually get to the correct answer in groups in a matter of 10 to 15 minutes. We don't have that much time, so I'm going to give you the answer here. So you take the matches out of the matchbox, you tack the box to the wall, put the candle in, and light the candle like that. And this is generally, I've seen other solutions actually, but this is the one that works best. Now, for this this type of problem, what kind of thinking do you think that this involves? Do you think it is? Yeah, I'll ask that question there. Right. So the idea here is that this type of problem requires a certain amount of lateral thinking or creative thinking, sort of thinking outside of the box. And so research has shown us that any kind of strong external extrinsic motivators, like a financial reward, has this effect of really limiting our ability to think creatively and for lateral thinking. Interestingly enough, when the problem is presented like this, every single time the experiment is run, the incentivized team actually solves it faster. And this is because it sort of takes out some of the lateral thinking required by the problem. Another really quick bit of motivation research, which I find fascinating. So researchers took 3 groups of preschoolers, 5-year-olds, I think they were. They asked all 3 groups to draw a picture. Now, Group A, they asked just to draw a picture. Group B, they were asked to draw a picture in order to get a reward, a sort of a trophy, an achievement trophy. And Group C was asked to just draw a picture, but then afterwards, when they completed it, they received a trophy as acknowledgement, but they didn't know they were going to get it beforehand. Now, here's another question for you in the chats. Again, tell me, A, B, or C, which group did the best at this task? Any answers there? Right, so I can't really see your comments there. But so the answer to this is actually that I've kind of tricked you. A, B, and C, all 3 of them did well. They all drew a picture, and it was a wonderful, lovely picture, and there was no real difference. The interesting thing is what happens the next day. And the next day, the researchers asked the same 3 groups to draw a picture, but this time with no reward and no difference between the groups. Now, Group A happily jumped in and drew a picture again. Group B refused to draw a picture because they weren't going to get a reward and decided to do some other kind of activity. Group C, I'm not going to really ask questions for the comments anymore because I'm not really able to see the answers, but Group C behaved like Group A. Since they were not doing it for the purpose of the reward, they were just like Group A, they were happy to just go in and draw the picture. So the interesting thing here is that intrinsic motivation, the pleasure of actually doing the action itself, is something that is really powerful, and it's a type of motivation that can be maintained for quite a long time. It's especially important for children. External motivators, like the trophy or reward here, can actually supplant the intrinsic motivation with a much weaker form of extrinsic motivation that, when taken away, can essentially destroy that intrinsic motivation. So that was just a little bit to kind of get you thinking about motivation. And these are some of the things that we really thought about when putting together the Gamerize Dictionary. Next, I want to give you a real quick rundown of kind of how I came to make this tool before I kind of dive in and show you what it actually does. So that was me in 2007 when I first came to Japan. And when I first came to Japan, I had this real desire to communicate, but I just had a lack of vocabulary and grammar. I used to go to shops every day, like you can see this lady on the top right, and they were kind of my language teachers. I would ask her every day, oh, what's this, and try to remember the words. And it just didn't work for me. I just found myself asking the same questions day in and day out, and I wasn't remembering things because I actually just have a terrible memory. This is something that any of my friends would tell you is true about me. I don't remember things well. So I realized at this point that if I wanted to make any progress forward, I really needed to conquer this. I needed to somehow either improve my memory or find strategies to remember things. And I tried a whole bunch of different things. Ultimately, what really worked for me was flashcards. Now, I kind of developed my own system for flashcards. Writing sentences, I had ways of kind of categorizing them and scheduling them and sorting them and putting them in different places. I became quite obsessed with this. In fact, it worked so well for me that I went from being able to learn 5 to 10 words or sentences a day to 50 to 100 at one point words a day, and really retain them and be able to use them. Of course, because I was so successful at it, I got really obsessed with studying, and I managed to pass the level 1 of the National Japanese Test in just 3 years. So at this time, I had a few realizations about memory and about learning in general. After that, studying for the Delta and also doing lots of other kinds of research, I've sort of understood why there was some truth to these realizations. One thing was that review really needs to be systematized. You can't just review when you feel like it or when you have time. It's something that you need to be really, you really need to do consistently. I also noticed that some words are oddly more difficult to remember than others. Yeah, some words, it just seems like you can study them over and over again. They just don't stick. I noticed that if you learned words in sentences or chunks, they became part of your active vocabulary, and this was something that you would be able to recall and use when speaking. And if you study words, just single words by themselves, they tend to be harder to recall, and they just don't become part of your active vocabulary. The way that you practice needs to be similar to what you want to do in the real world. So if you're practicing memorizing sentences, you should be muttering them or saying them out loud. I did this kind of muttering on the train thing every day. People thought I was insane, but I always made sure to move my mouth when I was studying. This is a technique also called subvocalization, I think it is. If you want to learn to write, you should be practicing by writing. I never did practice by writing until this day. I can barely write anything in Japanese. A lot of language learning apps and things like that do have you kind of tapping translations. This doesn't generally mirror what you'll do in the real world with language. It is a useful stage in language learning, but it may not be a good sort of endpoint. So at one point, the company that I was working for here in Japan went bankrupt, and I ended up opening my own school, which was one of the greatest things that happened to me in the last while. And so I thought, hey, this is great. I know how to learn a language. I can just show everybody around me, and now everyone will be successful language learners. And yeah, it'll be great. But for some reason, it just wasn't working, especially for young learners. They just couldn't keep their flashcards straight. Their mothers would be yelling at them to do reviews. They would be upset. It just really, really didn't work. So I realized that the problem was making flashcards takes time. Organizing them is really difficult. Sticking to a study schedule that you've created yourself is just genuinely really hard. And yeah, basically you just need to have a sustained, consistent level of effort. You need to have really high motivation to learn a language. And flashcards don't really help with that. Of course, flashcard apps have become quite a popular tool now, many years after I had been using paper flashcards. And these make the process a lot easier, but I think that there's still a problem. I think these apps only really work if you still have that sustained high level of motivation. You use them to study sentences and not just to memorize the translations of words. And finally, I don't think that flashcard apps or very much so the Gamerize Dictionary, which I'm about to show you, I don't think that these are the whole package. To learn a language, you need to do other things. You need reading, speaking, writing, experiencing things in the target language. So our company AAS Press teamed up with software developer Tintash and voice recognition specialists Soapbox Labs to create the Gamerize Dictionary, the funnest dictionary in the world, to kind of conquer this issue of a need for motivation, particularly for younger learners. So I'm going to show you a bit of the core features before I actually jump in and show you how it works. Hi, Kay, are you still there?
I am indeed, yes.
What's my time looking like?
4
I started
minutes.
at it. I've got 4 left. Holy smokes, where did that go? Okay. What I'm going to do is basically what we've got here is a gamified learner dictionary that can be used alongside any language learning program. So whether you're doing CLIL, you're doing test prep or whatever, you can use the dictionary itself to using the teacher portal to put give content to your students so that they can study that hopefully before class. You can use it as a blended learning solution, or of course a flipped class kind of thing. I'm going to show you a video really quick that actually shows you the student app because I think that's the best use of the last 3 minutes I have. My goodness. All right. Let's go for this. Hold on. Share sound. Just a moment. And here we go.
Is there some audio with the video?
Is it not playing the audio?
Then you have to, in Zoom, you have to share audio in the settings where the green and red share button is of.
All right.
It says under the 3 dots, you'll see.
Yep. I am aware. I've thought I hit that.
Thank you.
Let's go on
How's
a
that?
learning adventure.
Yeah, great.
You can find adventures
All right,
assigned by
I'm
your
going to
teacher.
rewind that.
Here you can find more learning adventures. Dictionary can be used alongside any language course or other language learning activity. Let's have a look. Here's the kingdom building feature. Here, kids can enjoy making their very own kingdom. We've based the design of this app on theories of motivation and gamification. Building the kingdom creates motivation to study and accumulate points. Students can set goals and see the results of their regular study. They can also buy weapons and armor for their avatar. Now, let's go on a learning adventure. In this menu, you can find adventures assigned by your teacher. Here you can find more learning adventures based on your own goals and needs. Here, students can look up words and make their own adventures. Just choose your aims, choose your words, and go. Now, students find themselves on an adventure map. Each adventure has 4 games ending with an RPG battle. First, let's visit the camp and study. Fish. I sometimes go fishing with my dad. Now let's try the first mini game. Tennis. Airplane. Fishing. This one practices listening. Next is the archery game. Far away. This one also practices listening. Vacation. And now we come to the bridge game. Far away.
Far away.
Here, the students have to speak or type depending on the Vacation.
Vacation.
They can listen to the audio again if they're not sure. Hair. And finally, here's the RPG battle.
Airplane.
Now, the students are tested on what they've learned.
Tennis.
Hope you can do it. Now let's return to the kingdom. Oh no, what's this? A monster's attacking the kingdom? Studying something just once, you'll never remember it. The app is designed to schedule review sessions at optimal timing to make sure that students retain what they have learned.
All right, so it looks like I'm over time there. So that's a real quick run through of what the student experience is on the Gamerize Dictionary app. I'd be really happy to answer any more questions in the chat. If any, oh, I see there's a few questions there, so I'll probably jump in and answer those. But thank you very much for the opportunity. Sorry that I went over time a little bit there.
Can I just ask one major question? Is that you said, I think you developed this app yourself. Did you have it? I mean, it's such a sophisticated app. Did you do this yourself, or do you? How does that work? Is that your product?
Well, it is our product. Now, none of the coding is done ourselves. Our company makes print materials. We do lots of graphic graded readers for children. So we have our own artists. So the art is ours. The coding is done by a company called Tintash, and the design is ours. And yeah, voice recognition is by another company as well.
So you are a publisher or language school?
Yes, our main thing is print materials and language schools.
Wow, I had no idea. Adam, you were talking about being an owner of a language school and how that experience has actually moved you to create your own language school, but that you've become a publisher. That is incredible. And the flashcards are beautiful. They're
oh, thank you.
Awesome, just for kids, just really great. And
thank you very much.
Experience with the kids' response to that?
Yeah, we're just really starting beta testing now, and they are very they're really enjoying it now. They're really engaged. There's a bit of a learning curve for I think the sweet spot is kind of grade 3 to 6. Teenagers seem to like it as well. But the younger kids do take a little bit of time, and they might not engage with the kingdom building that's to that level of sophistication. They kind of just want to, decorate it, sort of thing.
I definitely like the narrative that the monsters come and then you have to restart again. They really like that, I'm sure. Thank you so much, Adam.
Yeah, I didn't really get a chance to explain that, but that's the spaced repetition system and also AI generated review sessions. So the review all comes in terms of those, monster attacks. I
can see that 20 minutes is way too short to actually explain that. So I will be asking you back, especially after beta when you.
Please do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And
I was a little overambitious, I think.
Is it ready to be purchased, or can we still help with the beta testing or? Beta testing? Yeah,
so actually, thank you very much for mentioning that. Again, we're already 5 minutes over, but yes, if anyone is interested in actually getting their hands on it and helping us a little bit with the beta testing, I would love it if you would give me an email. You can also check out our website at gamerize-dictionary.com. I'll throw that in the chat. But yeah, if you can help us out and give us your opinions and your feedback, I mean, the more feedback we get, the more we can make sure that this is an app that's going to work for a broad range of people. At the moment, it's only in Japanese, but we are expanding to other languages very soon as well.
I would definitely be happy to beta test that for you with you.
Oh, great.
Japanese as well, good enough for that. And you will find in this group of people that there's quite some technically minded teachers here, and some who are even on the level of programmers. Yeah, and so you've addressed the right group of teachers definitely for your product, and I thank you so much for presenting it.
Heike,
thank you very much.
Adam write his email in the chat? People are asking for his email.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure, I'll do that right away.
Thank you ever so much.